to
Welcome to episode 17 of the Brian and
Mason Podcast.
Podcast.
We were just saying we've got a lot of content for our Patreon viewers. If you're subscribed to our Patreon, you get exclusive access to our pre-talks and our post-talks, kind of as we plan out the episodes and have a little one-on-one time. So join us for that on our Patreon.
Yep, a little 37-minute snippet today. Pretty good, lengthy little exclusive for you. Talking about the setup and hearing a little bit of the ongoings in our minds of what we're thinking about when we're leading into these episodes and the kind of the points we're trying to get across. So yeah, if you're interested in
Well,
that, check us out.
Brian, we did a little homework for this episode, so we're not going in quite as blind as usual. Do you want to tell the folks what the movie we watched?
Yeah. So just wanted to state, first of all, too, that we were kind of debating on whether or not we were going to watch it in the first place, because the movie is The Birth of a Nation, which is like one of the first like propaganda films for white supremacy. And it was one of those things where it's like, I don't want to watch it because it's this stupid white supremacy film. But I was like, but two, I could make fun of it a lot better if I've actually watched it. So for most of it, we watched it at 2 times speed because it is a silent film, and there is not a whole lot of depth going into it. It's like it's
Yeah, we're not going to really talk about the substance of the movie itself.
yeah, it's like you could be a third grader and understand it. It's not real deep.
No, it gets lauded, it gets praised as like a groundbreaking film. The groundbreakingness is a couple of dolly shots and like some gel filters.
Yes, the cinematic shots. I think
And
its close-ups were supposed to be like revolutionary at the time.
I'll admit that looking on an old black and white movie, some of the battle scenes were interesting, and I think that was something too that they made the battles look fairly large with a small number of people. So there's certain technical elements that were innovative.
I will say one of the things that they didn't do well that I think made the film kind of interesting was just the blatant misuse of the amount of pyrotechnics that they had all over the field. Where it was like, holy fuck, how many people got injured making this film? I'd love to know, because it's just blatant misuse of fire, like strewn out throughout the battlefield was one of the main takeaways on it. It was like, wow, this is
Yeah,
why we need actor protection services now and shit.
yeah. There was one scene that was like looking out over a field, and I think that there was all of like 10 people down there. And I swear to God, it looked like somebody just throwing sticks of dynamite, making explosions randomly.
Yeah, it looked insane.
Um, this they filmed over 36 hours of footage for this that they cut down to a 3-hour movie.
Yes.
Um, but let's get into a little bit about Birth of a Nation and the book that it was based on, The Klansman, a historical romance of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
So that was actually the second book in a trilogy. Um, by an author named Thomas Dixon. And real quick, I just want to go through a couple slides here. This first slide of Birth of a Nation, this is one of the like dramatic scenes about what the South is fighting against here.
Yeah, these are the
And,
crazy thoughts that these people had that was just so out of the bounds of possibility for anybody at the time, right?
yeah. So this is 40 Acres and a Mule, which this is the Reconstruction era immediately after slavery was ended. So the people that they're depicting are previous slaves that had either been kicked off their plantation, and here they're trying to give the idea of like they're just bums. In reality, 90% of slaves, I'm not sure about the number, the majority of slaves ended up working for their previous masters as sharecroppers.
Yes.
They didn't have any funds to go anywhere else. It was a very little mobility for these people. And this book that was written in 1905 really harps on this idea um, that these African Americans are lazy. They want unrealistic things. But the reality is, like, the sign right there, it's like they want equal laws, equal pay, and equal marriage.
Right.
Like,
Well, and it
and
says equal politics, like they want to be able to vote.
equal politics.
Yeah,
Yeah, the right
and
to
things like
vote, a
that. And
very
they're like,
American right.
right. And they're like, that is just out of the realm of possibility. These people are insane. They're going to destroy our way of life. If we give them rights,
Yeah,
it's going to destroy
yeah.
everything.
It's just so crazy to me of like the how strongly they felt about this. And I do want to show a picture of the big title, the big poster scene of Birth of a Nation. I
Okay.
didn't want this to be our first image. Um, so this is The Birth of a Nation. D.W. Griffith, who is the producer of this, um, he brought in a bunch of costumers and creatives to give the Klan their look. Okay? This is a very dramatic, sensational poster. You know, this catches your eye. Let's see what the Klan actually looked like in the next picture.
Yeah. So this is one of
So,
the original ones.
yes. And so, can we zoom in on the face? So, this is a very common motif that you'll see with these Klansmen. They like to portray themselves as clowns, literal clowns. They like to have horns. But look, what do you see here,
Well, and
Brian?
it's not,
Describe
he's like,
this.
he's got the shocked face of, pooped my pants and there's a bear in the room with me at the same time, with the crazy like wizard mustache. And I didn't notice this until just now, but holy shit, he has a beard going through the front of it too, on top of his cute
Yeah,
little heart emblem that he has.
I think that that's supposed to be a mouth under there. So the hood itself has little eye outlines, bushy eyebrows, a funny mustache,
Oh, and then you
and
got to know
like a
too,
beard
this
and
is
heart.
this is number 80 on a special pointy hat. I'm number 80 of this KKK chapter right here. Got to have my special number on it.
Well, you know that these guys sewed their names into them.
Yeah,
Let's see it. Let's see
PJ.
another one. Let's see another
Yeah,
one.
this is one of my favorites right here. I like the floppy
Yeah,
ear guys on the hats. They're like,
yeah.
that's terrifying right there.
So this is a depiction
Oops.
of an attempted murder that they were trying to do, or an alleged murder. But obviously they're all goofy, but let's look at the guy on the right.
Yeah, this guy specifically is just straight up wearing a
It's
clown
just
onesie.
a clown. Yeah. The lack of seriousness to all of this that
Yes.
existed before Birth of a Nation, it cannot be overstated. Um, that so much of what we think of when we think of the Klan is formulated from this movie.
One, just
My
so much of the scary imagery that we think of when we think of the Klan. Like most of the time when I think of the Klan, yeah, I think it just goes straight to scary imagery. And it's like before that movie, they
right,
didn't have scary imagery. They were not the scary looking guys. They were looked like
right.
fucking clowns with clown costumes and little heart symbols and things of affection on their garb.
And we'll go ahead and mention it here too. Um, Something that the author Thomas Dixon will continually do, aside from just inventing stuff whole cloth and making up lies, he'll pull on a lot of his Scottish heritage to add legitimacy to the clan. So, like the burning crosses, that was a modern invention, and I think you actually ran into song about that or something.
Oh yeah, I had come across this song by Iron Maiden called The Klansman, and I was like, wait, is
Mhm.
this in reference to the movie? And then it was like, oh yeah, no, this is just about the Scottish and their battle for freedom with the English. And then it's like, but then you read into it and it's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this is like another white supremacy dog whistle kind of situation going on.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things. Once you start seeing these little pieces, it's hard to say like, "Oh no, I didn't know the connection." It's like you wouldn't find that connection between Scottish clans burning crosses and the modern day Klansmen without the Klansmen.
Right.
It something that we're gonna do here. It's gonna be bad history, but we'll call out some people. Everyone throughout here that's involved with Birth of a Nation will say that it's not a racist thing.
Hmm.
It's a racist thing.
Yes.
So shockingly, racists don't want to be called out.
Right.
Uh, let me see the let me see the Bubba and Earl guy.
This one?
I won't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's the Blazing Saddles. My wife made these. I I love the guy on the left because it looks like he has a built-in turn backwards baseball cap in his hood.
Yeah. That very much, and they're wearing potato sacks for clothes. The guy on the right literally stole the outfit from the monster in the Jack Skellington Halloween movie.
Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie. He literally stole Oogie Boogie's costume. And yeah, he's just got the
So
paper sack. He's definitely got the I can't see out of these damn eye holes.
I can't see shit.
I like it too that they're like, no, no, you gotta make a hole for my nose too. I need the eye hole and the nose hole to be one and a mouth hole. Like, why don't you just have your whole face exposed? No.
No.
Insane.
And also to just to go back, the guy on the left with the sewed on crooked beard,
Hmm.
just like I don't know, dude. You're making your hate costume and you're like, gosh, I sure do want a fancy goatee though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend an extra hour making my hood. Clarence, you're gonna look so shabby next to me.
It's like, and then 1,000 years later, people won't be able to breathe through a single layer cloth mask. They'll complain about that. But these guys running through horses with cloth sacks on, completely fine, guys.
Yes. And we'll get more into it later when we talk about the actual forming of the clan, of the second clan. But yeah, I gotta hammer home. This is what Klansmen looked like, not that other
Yeah,
picture.
and we have to hammer home too that the first clan was a failure and was like dispersed by the federal government, right? They wound up getting like broke up
Yes.
at the time in like
And that
1800s.
so that would actually be Thomas Dixon's first book. It's oh god, something racist. Like can the leopard change its spots?
Yeah, and it was all about how he was saying that like the federal government wanted to take the slaves at the time and pretty much give them all the rights of white people and take the land from all the white people and give it to the slaves and all this other like pretty much just propaganda shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of propaganda and it's a lot of the seeds of the lost cause mythology. This idea that the South was a noble institution, that it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights, that they were unfairly prosecuted after the war. All of this, it's basically white supremacist propaganda.
And I think now would be a good time to bring up that just for a second. It's like other parts of the world had slavery and it like it's slavery isn't good in any way shape or form, but it is really important to point out that at this point in time that the way that Americans were doing slavery was so above and beyond the level of scale of evil for the time that was like ridiculous, that led to a lot
Yes.
of that where it was like so inherently evil, the conditions and the way that they treat it's like other people that had slaves did not do evil things that we were doing. It was so heinous. It was
Yes, specifically American and the transatlantic slave trade really needs a distinction from many other forms of slavery that other cultures have practiced throughout time. The especially the Caribbean, where the death rates were counted in months for these people. It's a level of inhumanity humans haven't generally practiced on each other on this scale ever.
yeah, it was just like evil
Um,
torture practices and stuff just for evilness pretty much.
yeah.
So I just wanted to point that
Um,
out.
yeah. Um, and on the other side, something. in a weird way, I do want to also point out that that these enslaved people, um, were able to distinguish themselves. You know, the precursor to vaccines inoculation was brought to us by a West African slave named Onesimus, who showed the process of inoculation for smallpox.
Okay.
So, I don't have a ton of great examples with me right now, but,
I'm pretty sure I've
you
done a
know,
research paper on that person at one point in time, but it was like 10 years ago. I can't remember anything about it.
but, you know, whether they, against their will or not, a lot of enslaved people did acquire education and did go on to do very meaningful things in U.S. history, even against this adversity.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And I want to talk about the author of the book, Thomas Dixon. So this is the Preachin' Dixons.
Oh.
These are on the bottom left is our author here, Thomas Dixon Jr. On his right, we've got his brother Amzie.
Amzie? What a terrible
Amzie.
name.
Yeah, he went by AC.
Okay. It's
Um,
weird. It looks like he has a scar, like the Joker almost.
yeah.
He's
So
got that weird part going on too. I got to show the other guy real quick.
So that is his uncle Leroy. We'll get back to Leroy. But something that we found is racists have fucked up hair.
Yeah.
It's bad.
The
Um,
people that think they're superior racially to other people have the worst hair genetics ever.
so top left there, that's Thomas Dixon Sr. He's a
Hmm.
preacher and a statesman. And top right is his uncle Leroy, who was a senator from South Carolina and a Confederate veteran.
Hmm.
So we'll get a little more into him later, but he will base the main Southern protagonist on his uncle,
Hmm.
and he will base the main antagonist from the North on a actual Northern politician called Thaddeus Stevens. But we'll get to that later.
Did this guy
I'm going to
own the
talk
first ever tanning bed in his time too? Because god damn, brother.
right,
Did they not
right.
have
That's a
hats back
rough
then?
look.
Could he not tell what the
So,
sun was doing to him? Oh my God,
um,
that's the father of the grandmother from Hillbilly Squids, the worm
Squidbillies.
the worm lady that's in the wheelchair.
Yeah, unfortunately, something else that we run into is like old racists live forever.
Oh yeah, because it's like
All these
the
motherfuckers
the
live to be like
hatred.
100. Yeah. So, fun family history. Thomas Dixon wrote the book that restarted the Klan. His brother Amzie over there, and go one more. I've got another picture of Amzie close up
Okay.
with his little derpy mustache.
Yeah.
Um,
What's up?
Amzie's
Wait,
also a
what's going on
preacher.
right here though? What the fuck is that? Is that a
Yeah,
bow
I have
tie or
no
what?
idea.
It's like a
I have
bow
no
tie
idea.
that's a tie. Yeah, what? They had to come up with new ways to look ridiculous. I swear.
Terrible people. So Amzie was a preacher, just like his brother Thomas, and he was also an author like Thomas. He wrote a lot of works, but his most famous were collected into 12 volumes of his sermons called The Fundamentals.
Okay.
That's where we get the term fundamental Christianity.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So the Klan and fundamental Christianity in all ways are literally brothers.
Mm.
They come from the same family,
Oh, that's crazy. I had no
right?
idea.
That's a
Isn't
lot of
that what Turning Point
influence.
USA runs on? Is fundamentalist Christianity? Isn't that it? Or am I?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of this that you're going to see a little overlap is um, these right wing people really want to be famous in like literary spaces and they want to be creatives, but they have bad ideas.
Right.
So, what you need to know about uh, Birth of a Nation, the book, is that it's a genre of book that was popular 50 years before called anti-Tom novels.
Hmm.
Um, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's dig more into Thomas Dixon. So, when Thomas Dixon wrote this book, um, he had a few people in mind. Okay, um, one of the main people that he had in mind. Go ahead and skip on past Uncle Leroy for a second.
Hmm.
One more or two more. There we go. Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote the very famous Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Okay.
After Uncle Tom's Cabin came out, a series of novels called anti-Tom novels came out that were literally taking the characters from Uncle Tom and plopping them into racist remixes.
Yeah, the KKK cinematic universe.
Pretty much. Um, so uh, let's see, Uncle Tom's Cabin or the. Sorry, one second. I want to get the full name so we can talk about it because all of these response books have ridiculously long covers. All right, so Uncle Tom's Cabin or Life Among the Lowly was the original title. A lot of these use double titles. So, in response, here's a couple of anti Tom novels. How about Aunt Phyllis's Cabin or Southern Life as It Is? The
What?
Cabin in the Parlor or Slaves and Masters? Life at the South or Uncle Tom's Cabin as It Is, being narrative scenes and incidents in the real life of the lowly.
What the fuck?
Liberia or Mr. Peyton's Experiment. We don't have time to get into Liberia right now. Little Eva, The Flower of the South. This is a children's book.
Oh God.
So if you were worried that your like 6-year old was going to be influenced by the people around you and treat people as humans, there's a book for that.
Right. Oh, and I did want
The
to point
lock.
out one of the funny facts about the book. I was looking up some historical context for it and looked up a print of it from the historical or the Congress,
Library of Congress.
Library of Congress. Thank you. And the book that they have at the Library of Congress was like for a Merry Christmas to my Aunt Ida or whatever. I thought that was really funny. It's like, yeah, this is what you got your racist aunt for Christmas was the Klansman book.
God. And then the most famous of these is a novel by William Gilmore Simms.
Hmm.
Um, you got to jump around a little, but I do want people to see his beard. Go two past.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
crazy beard.
William Simms. So he wrote like 60 books, and they're all racist pulp novels.
Hmm.
Um, but all of these novels were written and stopped being written around 1860s.
Okay.
Thomas Dixon wrote this book in 1902. So he was 40 years late to this pro-racism book trend.
Hmm.
And I just think it's very funny that he brought back a dead genre just because he was one, hateful and racist, and two, so uncreative.
Yeah.
Uh, I found a quote from a 1970 reprinting of the book.
Hmm.
And so that's 55 years ago from today, and 55 years ago from when Birth of a Nation, the movie, came out. So this is Thomas D. Clark in his intro. The first thing to be said in discussing Thomas Dixon Jr.'s novel The Klansman is that no person of critical judgment thinks of it as having artistic conception or literary craftsmanship. All right, pause there before I finish the quote, and let's break that down. No person of critical judgment, so nobody that isn't an idiot, thinks of it as having artistic conception. So there's no idea behind this book.
No
There's
original
no
idea.
original idea, and there's no literary craftsmanship.
Right.
Motherfucker can't write either.
Yeah.
It's bad writing.
That was one of the takeaways too. I did do a couple snippets of reading The Klansman. I was like, they have pictures in it from the play. I was trying to find some pictures, and I was just trying to find some weird snippets and see some things. And yeah, that was like the immediate takeaway. And that goes back to the two where it's like he writes women in a weird way too. That's like, bro, this is just terrible writing. That's like,
Yeah.
do you speak to women? Like, really? They just,
No.
nah.
No, but
Yeah, I
I'll
don't think
tell
you
you how
do.
women should be.
Right.
If they were like in my books, I would. So that historian Thomas D. Clark finishes that quote with, "The novel opened wider a vein of racial hatred, which was to poison further an age already in social and political upheaval."
Yeah.
So it it was never an art piece. It is December 14th, 2025, if you're catching this years later. In the news, there's this piece about a young woman uh, who is suing her psychology professor um, for getting a failing grade on this paper that is not related to the topic at all, should be failed, but Turning Point USA has got behind it and has turned it into a political issue.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's the same thing. This is bad, and it doesn't deserve to be talked about unless you're trying to, um, uplift the message of racism.
Well, and again, at the time, I want to point out that many people too are saying that, the book sales and the book actually didn't do that great. The whole reason why the book even got as popular and got as distributed as far as is because he made a play about it afterwards, and the play is what really got distributed around and really got people interested. More people went and saw the play than probably ever read the book. And again, the play didn't do very good in the North. The play really, really good in the South, though. Like,
Wow, crazy.
hmm,
Maybe you just like the hateful stuff they were saying.
right.
So the main characters in the book that we can relate to are his uncle Leroy is the stand-in for the southern character, and Thaddeus Stevens for the northern character. So go back one, two, three. Go back four so we can pull up Leroy. Yeah.
Leroy.
So something that I do love and it warms my heart is for however long these racist shits live, when you go back through their Wikipedias, they're so sadly empty.
Yeah.
There's like one line about them supporting slavery and then nothing.
I love that they
Whereas
have
when you
one picture
go,
of this guy and the crease that it's like right through the middle of his fucking face where someone had the picture folded up. Like, that's the best picture we have of his ass.
I I had to really hunt for this picture, and I wouldn't have showed it because he deserves to be forgot to history if his haircut wasn't so dumb.
Yeah.
Look at that seven head. Just shave it, bro.
Yeah, just give up.
But all of the good people, the people that stood for stuff in history, their Wikipedia pages are like 20 pages long. And it's all about the awesome stuff they did and cool people they met.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
gonna
do want to point out one of the things when I was doing research about the book writer, the guy that inspired him, he took what was called, it was like long distance classes, which was like classes that you would enroll and your teacher would pretty much mail you letters back and forth. And the guy was like, he was like referring to him as like like he was like the best thing that Kentucky's ever produced. This guy, he taught me so much, and I wouldn't have been able to write any of my books if it wasn't for his teachings. That guy literally doesn't even have, like, if you click on his name, there isn't a Wikipedia page for that guy. We don't even know what he looks like.
Yeah. Because he produced nothing of value
Right.
except that instant gratification of like fear and red meat.
Yeah.
So I am gonna read you 75% of McAfee's Wikipedia page. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
McAfee died in 1873 of tuberculosis, and he was buried in Rose Hill Cemetery in York, South Carolina. In 1916, his nephew Dixon planned to erect a statue of McAfee on the courthouse square of Shelby, North Carolina. The project was initially met with enthusiasm until it was announced that Dixon wanted McAfee to wear a Ku Klux Klan mask in the statue. Despite the controversy, several Southern newspapers, as well as the New York Times, issued editorials in favor of the statue.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's the main antagonist or protagonist for the South here. And then we're going to move over to a real one, Thaddeus Stevens. So Thaddeus is right after Sims.
There we go.
All right, look at that motherfucker.
He's seen
That
some
is
things.
a mean looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
So he grew up with a clubfoot, which people would say was a sign of the devil.
Oh my God.
Which is like crazy that's really a thing of like, hey, you walk with a limp, must be the devil.
Right.
So Thaddeus Stevens was a radical Republican.
It's like, no,
Back
actually, when I was born, the doctor let me fall straight out onto the floor and I broke my ankle right at birth or some shit. It's like, medical procedures were just fucked up back then.
Well, it was a genetic issue. He had other people in his family with it.
Oh, okay.
But so grew up poor, became a lawyer, and when he got into his full ascendancy as a senator, he was friends with Lincoln.
Okay.
And so the Emancipation Proclamation in 1864. In 1861, Thaddeus Stevens was going to Abe Lincoln and saying, we should release all the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
When the war broke out, Stevens again was like, emancipation, we should free everybody. And Lincoln was like, no, I don't know. That's going to really piss off the South. In April, Stevens wrote to a friend, April 1862, Stevens wrote to a friend, as for future hopes, they are poor, as Lincoln is nobody.
Right.
A few months later, he's quoted as saying, the slaves ought to be incited to insurrection and give the rebels a taste of the real Civil War.
Yeah.
He didn't publicly come out and support John Brown, but he wrote letters to John Brown and he was friendly with the people around him.
Yeah. Because for the record, John Brown made him look tame, right?
Yeah, no. This dude was ridiculously radical about like we should treat human beings as humans. And John Brown was like, I'm gonna chop you with a fucking broadsword if you sell a baby.
Right.
Which
based. Yeah, based.
And
one, John Brown was pretty big on hey guys, we're not going to get anything done by drawing up legislation and talk about it. We got to kill some motherfuckers. We got to make a revolt and murder some people, and then we can have a conversation.
Yeah. And also something that doesn't get brought up too much is that John Brown had very socialist ideas, and like half the time in his writings, he won't use like white or slaveholder. He'll use the term rich. It's like this is a race thing, sure, but it's mainly a class war.
Yes.
You wouldn't be doing this to them if they were poor or if they were rich.
Right.
It doesn't matter their color. It's because you're classist.
Right.
Um, Something else, Thad. Go ahead and pull up the next pic. So here's how popular Thad was. There were like multiple depictions of like in the newspaper of them saying "Hang Thaddeus Stevens." So that's him and another Republican
And
in the
again,
back. Republican before the party switch.
this is just for him wanting black people to have equal rights too. The whole
Yeah.
propaganda at the time is that Thad is like trying to give them more rights than white people have, and that's part of the whole scare thing that they're trying to do. It's like they're gonna make you be subservient to them, and da 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 da. It's like, yeah, no,
Yes.
we just want to be able to do what we want and not
Yeah.
be in fear of our lives for doing it. What the fuck?
Yeah. And so Thad is also, if you've ever heard the term 40 acres and a mule, and that was displayed on one of the posters in our first image, have you heard of that?
Yes, that's the belief that if when the slaves are freed that they should all be given 40 acres and a mule as I can't think of
Yeah.
the
So
what's the word? Repra
reparations.
reparations. Thank you. I don't know what
So
else.
there's a couple versions of this myth. Some people say it was started by like Sherman when he was freeing slaves on his march through the South,
Hmm.
um, but it wasn't a crazy idea. The reality was he was just saying if we emancipate these people, we're gonna suddenly have hundreds of thousands of people that are unemployed and unhoused.
Yeah.
We should take some of these giant 1,000+ acre plantations that won't be able to be ran without this slave labor, break them down and give them to these families that have been working the land here for their entire lives.
Right. Which again,
So,
not that radical of an idea in my opinion.
no. And this is so weird because I guess for the times, uh,
And I do just want to point out, I do love that isn't the same thing. They're like, not only do they want reparations, but they want equal rights and to be able to vote and to marry other races. What?
yeah.
It's like,
And
huh?
throughout Birth of a Nation, kind of a central theme is that a African American Northern soldier is pursuing a white Southern girl,
Yeah.
um, and the undertones of that. Um, but it really is like this false idea portrayed in the movie that they would treat African Americans as equal but separate, when that's going to play out in the future and we're going to know that that doesn't mean equal.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Something that isn't historically supported that I'm going to say in a weird way, that had a black wife, question mark.
Okay.
Go to the next picture. This is Thad's black wife,
Oh, Lydia May.
Lydia May, which she looks so fucking white to me. That's the whitest old lady I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? So, Lydia Smith was the term that they had was quadroon.
I've never heard
Her
that
dad,
before.
yeah. So her dad was white Irish. Her mom was half white, half black.
That's crazy. The specificity of the racism that they can get to. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. No, we have a specific name for that sort of racism.
Oh well, technically she's a quadroon,
Quadroon,
and
of
it's
course. Oh, yes, of course. It's like, wait,
why.
what? You used brain power to come up with that?
Okay, and I found out too that there's another one. So if she had a child, that would be an octoroon,
Oh my,
which
that's
is just
just,
so fucking like
come
an
on,
eighth
bro.
of something,
Yeah.
and it's so ridiculous to me. Um,
It's like the
that
amount of energy to be that specifically racist is just, it's like you're doing too much.
Well, and it's we see this with like the bathroom thing of like, so these weirdos are like getting up in people's faces and being like, "Let me look at your facial features."
Mm,
It's like, that's actually not 100% accurate. Looking at somebody and going, doesn't mean shit, actually.
Right.
Um, but I think it's really interesting. So in their biographies, she's listed as Thaddeus's housekeeper.
Okay.
Um, and she's like with him for 20 years. They buy houses that are a duplex. It's like they live next door to each other. She's one of the first African. It feels weird to say that because look at her picture, but she's one of the first African American women in the United States to own property,
Okay.
thanks to the help from Thaddeus. Um, and so his political enemies will say that when friends and Mr. Lincoln go to visit Thaddeus's house, he insists that they call her um, Miss her last name or Madam. And
Okay.
some people even say that around friends, she's called Miss Stevens, like Thaddeus Stevens.
Right.
And
Oh,
it's like, okay,
yeah, who cares?
so?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't understand. Him treating somebody with dignity and having a loving relationship is just as bad as or worse than me wanting to own people.
Right. It's like
And it's like,
when it goes back to too, where it's like this is something that he's doing in his own home that is literally affecting the lives of
nobody,
anybody else, and they're like, we have to be
nobody.
outraged about this.
And they are so out. There's a lot of publications. And let's go to the next picture.
Oh
So,
yeah.
do you remember? I think we clocked when we were watching that this was Thaddeus. I wasn't aware who this maid was supposed to be.
Right, because in the film they depict her as like over the top, emotional, deranged in a sort of way. She goes into like psychotic episodes just randomly, and everyone leaves the room, and Thad sees that, and that just, oh, he just immediately falls in love with the crazy lady that can't control her emotions. Like, wait, what? That's why he fell in love with her,
Yeah.
because she was so crazy and uncontrollable.
Yeah, and then like after he died, he left her something like the equivalent of $250,000.
Hmm,
Um and like left his belongings and was like, let her bury me and all that. Attended all his social events. And then I found a picture of a modern movie, Lincoln, that depicts them.
yeah.
That just isn't a racial character. I just
Right.
thought it was cute.
And it's got the guy from Men in Black.
Yeah, but to sum that bit up, I still can't believe that like at the time these people were both seen as doing something morally questionable.
Right.
And it's like Thad had to go sit down with Lincoln, and Lincoln would be like, Thad, you don't mention your partner that you love. And, to my Southern friends, try not to mention how you make so much money from selling babies. You
Right.
know, it's like we both have to compromise, Thad.
Yeah.
It's like, no, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the production of the movie itself.
Okay.
So, flipping on to the next one.
Are you
This is
am I
D.W. Griffith.
okay, yeah.
Yes.
But again, with the fucked up hairline and the
Yeah.
comb over.
And the W stands for Wark. WARK.
Yeah. What is the etymology of that? Where's that from? Is that
I
Scottish or something?
I have no idea and I don't care.
Yeah, it's
I
Scottish.
was I was going to tell you a little bit
Wait,
about
okay, you have to know this. Wark is a dialect word for work, pain, or ache. So
so he's a pain.
he's a pain in the ass. His parents named him after a pain.
That's
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 kind
pretty
of
good.
hilarious. Oh, that's great. The most
Oh,
common meaning, yeah, work. Dialectal use for suffering or a bodily ache, a work. That's
for,
great.
that's definitely an old-timey like, I got to work. It's
Yeah.
like a wart but inside. So, uh here's how I'm going to summarize him.
Okay.
D.W. Griffith made Birth of a Nation in 1915.
Hmm.
Uh,
Completely unoriginal, pretty much just blatantly copied from the novel. Just want to point
yeah,
that out again.
yeah. No, there's not innovation going on here. And this is a quote. Both Griffin and Dixon, in letters to the press, dismissed African American protest against the Birth of a Nation. In a letter to the New York Globe, Griffith wrote that his film was an influence against the intermarriage of blacks and whites. Dixon likewise called the NAACP the Negro Intermarriage Society and said it was against the birth of a nation, quote, for one reason only, because it opposes the marriage of blacks to whites, end quote. D.W. Griffith, indignant at the film's negative critical reception, wrote letters to newspapers and published a pamphlet in which he accused his critics of censoring unpopular opinions.
Interesting.
Uh, when Sherwin Lewis of the Globe expressed criticism of the film's distorted portrayal of history and said that it was not worthy of uh, constitutional protection because its purpose was to make a few dirty dollars. And this
Right.
is right when it came out. Somebody was like, that's gross, dude. Griffith responded, the public should not be afraid to accept the truth, even though it might not like it. He also added that the man who wrote the editorial was damaging my reputation as a producer and, quote, a liar and a coward.
Yeah, didn't he try to sue that guy too?
I think he did everything. He was
Okay.
such a little bitch.
Yeah.
Next year, after he makes one of the most famous movies of all time, he'll make a movie called Intolerance
Okay.
about how intolerance brought down empires.
Oh,
It's
about like
it's
censorship?
yes, it's like 4 different periods of time. It's like the caveman, ancient Rome, blah blah blah, and it's about how the woke media destroys empires.
Mm.
He tried to do a whole road show and a whole big production like he did for Birth of a Nation, and nobody fucking showed up.
Yeah.
He almost went financially bankrupt from trying to make this movie about how nobody wants to listen to the truth.
Right.
2 years later, he'll make the film Broken Blossom. It's a deeply racist movie, but it's also quite possibly the first interracial romance shown on film.
Hmm.
So he
Is that like
went
a
from
progressive step
being
forward? Like in a positive light?
no,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
it was a Chinese guy that fell in love with a white woman,
Mm-hmm.
and he eventually has to jump off a roof or die or something. He doesn't get to actually be with her, but it's portrayed in a pretty positive light.
Weird.
So it is one of those of if you actually cared so much about making a movie against interracial marriage 3 years ago, you probably wouldn't make a movie about an interracial relationship, right?
Right.
Unless you had no moral consistency and you just wanted money and outrage.
Yeah. And you
So
knew that
that's
there was a
D.W. Griffith.
specific class of reading comprehensive declining individuals that just love to throw money at insensitive topics like that.
Yes. When D.W. Griffith approached Dixon for the rights to the Klansmen, he didn't have all the money to pay him up front. He wanted to pay him Dixon wanted 300,000 for the rights.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't have all that on me. How about I give you 25% stake in the movie? Dixon takes that, and so for the Klansmen, a history of the Ku Klux Klan,
A historical
no
romance
other.
of the Ku Klux Klan. You
Thank
cannot
you.
forget that part. I love
Yeah,
that tidbit.
you're gonna miss if you're not talking about the romance. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Aside from the bigotry, so Dixon would be the author making the most money from having their book optioned for a movie until 2007. Do you want to guess what author replaced Thomas Dixon Jr., author of The Klansman?
The Titanic.
No, the author.
Oh, the author.
So, who's
Uh,
replacing Thomas Dixon Jr., the Klansman?
um, the lady that wrote To Kill a Mockingbird.
J.K. Rowling. It's. I'm not even saying anything. It's just funny that it went from a person that made the most racist film ever to probably one of the most prominent anti-trans authors alive.
Well, it's funny.
It's just
There's
funny.
supposedly a lot of anti-Semitic tropes in the Harry Potter stuff too, so I think that's kind of
Oh,
funny.
yeah, dude.
It's like, oh, so we
Yeah.
went from one form of racism to another form of like anti-Semitism now. Okay.
So, I do want to just briefly touch on a couple other people around this movie. So, I've also got Lillian Gish will be our next star there.
Gotcha.
She was 14 when this movie came out as the star.
And
And I mean, obviously,
and everybody in the
you
movie
can't,
was fawning over her the entire time in
yes,
weird ways.
everybody loved Lillian Gish. Uh,
They would talk about
she was
like what they
14.
would do to her in front of her like mom and dad, and they were like, "Oh, you scallywag." It's like, wait,
Yeah. I
what?
mean, all of Hollywood was super creepy back then. Um, but yeah, but we're not going to judge somebody for a film they did when they were 14,
Yeah,
you
true.
know? People change, people grow. Not Lillian Gish though. In her 20s or in her 30s, she would join the America First Party. Or
Okay.
you've heard of America First, right?
I don't think so.
You haven't heard Trump say America First?
Oh, I mean, I've heard that.
Okay. Have you heard the historical party America First?
Yes. Yeah.
So that was an isolationist, anti getting involved in World War II, and also kind of the deciding group in not allowing Jewish refugees to escape Germany and settle in the U.S.
Oh, damn. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Another member of that America
Are
First
those the
Party
same people
was,
that were like, but we should definitely bring in the Nazi scientists, though?
yeah, because the America First Party, like the face of it was Charles Lindbergh.
Oh, yeah, and they're very like, we can't let other countries have this Nazi scientific papers. We got to bring them over here and learn all the things that they know.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
ooh.
like Lindbergh was a big Nazi.
I did not know that until the last time we talked about it. Yeah, I had no idea. For people that know,
Yeah.
Charles Lindbergh, the famous aviation guy, huge Nazi. Yeah, I had no idea.
Huge Nazi. Also, too,
Like prominent.
definitely killed his kid. Right?
Wait,
You heard about
what?
like the missing Lindbergh baby?
Oh,
Have you heard about that?
No, he killed his kid? Why'd he do that?
So, okay. So his kid went missing and it was national news and like people's lives were ruined, blah blah blah. It was very much a like Reddit finds the Boston bomber kind of vibe.
Mm.
Um but like if you're like, what happened? It's like, I don't know. And then you ask them and be like, well, yeah, Charles did love to play hide the baby from my wife and run in and say the baby was kidnapped.
Are you kidding me? What?
Yeah, like when you take your like 6-month-old child and put him in the cabinet under the sink, and you're like, honey, our baby's been kidnapped. And
Right.
then, but then it does really happen, and it's sad and not your fault.
Yeah. Huh. I don't
Yeah.
think sane people make jokes like that with their wife. That sounds like a good way to get divorced. Holy shit.
Lillian Gish would later go on to be a big supporter of Richard Nixon.
No shocker there.
And of course, we're going to round it out with Ronald Reagan.
Hmm.
Speaking to the throat goat herself, Nancy, Lillian Gish said, every time you and Ronnie open your mouths, you echo my thoughts.
Oh God.
So it's pretty fair to say that Lillian Gish is the poster child for the Klan. And the poster child for the Klan said to the Reagans, you guys get it. I'm an 80-year-old racist piece of shit. You guys get it.
Right.
She died in 1993, Brian.
Holy shit. That was not that long ago.
That was not that long ago. That
That's
is
crazy.
a 40-year-old's grandma that had really great memories of her. It was like, what? Auntie Lillian?
Right.
No. Um, I want to. This is the least related to the story, but I love it. Let's go talk about Charles Parkhurst.
Is that this guy? Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he gets his name in the paper. Not a bad photo for a crazy looking guy of his time.
Yeah, he looks like
But
he's about to snap on some whippersnappers for stepping on the lawn.
so he went out of his way to write in the paper, arguing that The Birth of a Nation wasn't racist and saying it was exactly true to history by depicting the freedmen as they were, and therefore it was a compliment to the black man by showing how far black people had advanced since Reconstruction.
Oh my God. Okay. And then that is a good time to bring up the point where when they have them in the legislation building and they're talking about how they want equal rights and equal representation, the depiction in the movie of the African American people is they all have their shoes off and they're putting their feet on the tables and they're taking turkey legs just out of nowhere and just eating them
Oh
and
yeah, and
the
it's
most racist depictions that you could ever, and this guy's like, no, that's perfectly spot on. Like, what, bro?
yeah, the almost a comedic Shakespearean level of like
A blatant
the
racism.
barbarians are invading Rome.
Right.
Like, dude, nobody does that. It's
Yeah.
like where the fuck did he get a giant turkey leg to be like spitting all over?
Yeah, and he's like eating it and food's dropping out and he's talking about this and they're all drunk and drinking and people are passing out from alcohol and sleeping and stuff and everyone's screaming over each other. And it's like, this is just blatant
Yeah, there's
racism for
and
nothing else.
especially
You're not
and
portraying
especially
anything like
no, there's no message to it other than look how gross these people are.
right.
Yeah,
There wasn't
it
a
really
deeper
is.
meaning to it or anything. So yeah, I
And
love that. So read his quote again about it.
yeah. So he argued the film was not racist, saying it was exactly true to history by depicting freedmen as they were, and therefore it was a compliment to the black man by showing how far black people had advanced since Reconstruction.
Jesus Christ. What a horrible
So, and
take.
yeah, it's insane to me that like I guess I can see how back in the past these were sides of the issues, but one of these sides looks like a fucking moron.
Right.
Here's I want to give another Parkhurst quote because he's just really hitting these homers. This was him talking about women voting.
Hmm.
That quality of feminine blatancy, which is being at present so extensively advertised here and in England, that disposition towards self exploitation indulged in by short haired women and encouraged by long haired men, is of a sort to chill and then freeze over those masculine impulses that seek restful and satisfying companionship in a member of the opposite sex.
Yeah. So that's him going off on like if women get the right to vote, then they'll turn into lesbians and listen to gay
Short
men.
haired women, long haired men, death of masculinity.
Yeah, we let women vote, then men won't be men anymore. They're going to turn gay and women won't even like us anymore. They're going to all start liking each other more than us if we let them vote,
Yeah,
guys. What?
if women aren't forced to be around me, I'll never have a chance.
Right, right. If women get to hang out with other like-minded women, they might come up with things that they could do together without us guys around. That would be insane.
Parkhurst died on September 8th, 1993, 33, by sleepwalking off the porch roof in his New Jersey home.
Oh, yeah. And that story is corroborated by no one else but his wife, Winky Face Smile, who we
Yeah.
100% believe she did nothing wrong.
So
Besides
apparently
leaving
he
that
walked.
window open, but he loved the breeze at night, guys.
Yeah, he walked out of a third story screened in porch.
Right, yeah. Whoopsie! As one does when they sleepwalk. It
Yeah,
just happens, you guys.
right. And like Brian said, the only person that can corroborate this story is his wife, who I'm sure was
A saint.
delighted to be around him.
Right. This is the same guy, too, that's like, you know what? Women want to vote and they want bicycles so that they can go around town by themselves and go get groceries and stuff. Next thing you know, they're going to be wanting to smoke fucking cigarettes and shit. What the
Man,
hell?
yeah.
It's like, wait,
And
that's
then I
that's
wanted,
that's what you're upset about? You're mad because she wants to get a bicycle and go get a loaf of bread from the store and maybe smoke a pack of cigarettes on the. That's what you're going to beat her up for when she gets home? And then you're going to be
yeah,
confused when she wants to divorce you? What? Like, bro, your head is
yeah.
so
And I
firmly
mean,
planted up your ass.
and it's one of these weird things too when you're looking back, and it's like I can't tell if you're just that much of an asshole, like a controlling asshole, or if this is like a grander conspiracy to like control people.
Oh, and this
You know
this
what I mean?
reminds me of a point too. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I heard something about it on the radio, and I thought it was kind of interesting take that I hadn't thought of before. And this kind of goes back to the whole trans debate and trans athletes and the whole thing. I'm not even going to get it into whether men and trans people should be able to do sports and everything. The takeaway that I saw recently that I thought was really interesting was this woman talking about it, and it was like, take all of that out of it. This is just another way for men to control women, and it's just another way for us to be like, well, let me see your genitals. Let me make sure that you're a woman. Let me define what a woman
Yes.
is. Let me control more of your life. Let me control more
Yes.
aspects of your life in a way. And we're going to use the trans dilemma as an obfuscation over the top of all of it. And it's just more ways to regress women's rights in sports and other things.
It's the moral panic over pornography where you have to submit your ID so the government knows.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, they've had those are you over 18? They've tried these measures to enforce this, and every kid throughout history has been able to get around them.
Yeah.
Parents have never been able to keep up with kids' ability to get around them on the internet.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up for a second because that really made me. Like I
Yeah.
said, I heard a whole thing about that, and she was like,
No.
people are talking about the wrong things when it comes to the trans athlete. It's like we needed to be talking about how this is going to affect women.
No, that's I think that's a very clear point because as we see throughout Birth of a Nation, we don't talk they never touch on the dehumanizing working conditions or living conditions of African Americans. It's focused on the idea of intermarriage and the idea of like protecting white women from these people.
Yeah.
You know, it's this moral um they're trying to use this moral excuse and this moral justification, but it doesn't stand up when you actually look at what they're saying.
Right, because like in the movie too, it depicts them as they're like always fighting, and like older people are beating up on the younger kids for like any little discrepancy that they do, and there's just yeah, they're like show them as like barbarians in a way that like they're
So
first to action to fight each other and they don't ever talk about it. And it's yeah, it's like so ridiculously over the top that it's like you said, it's like cartoonish in a way that anyone with critical thinking is just like, bro, this is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
yeah. And I'm not sure how the linking stuff works, but I'd love us to link his essay in this. But I found a great YouTuber called Pillboy,
Okay.
who kind of did an in-depth dive on the history of minstrel shows.
Hmm.
Um, and go ahead and flip to the next picture there. Um, so something that he was talking about are the archetypes that were allowed to perform in this time. For Black people, mainly fall into two categories. They can either be the jester,
Hmm.
which is similar to Lydia, Thad's wife, depicted in the film, where she's depicted as hysterical and ridiculous. And the other role that they can play is the knight, which is a reinforcement of the idea that white people are a good force. the idea that slavery was proactive and a good thing for these people. Um, and those were kind of the only two roles for a lot of history that were available to these African American actors that wanted to make it.
Hmm.
So this next person that we're going to talk to, this is an actress. Her given name was Nellie Crawford. Her stage name was Madame Sultaywan. So I just think she's got such a cool story.
I love
So
her
she was
drip in the
born.
picture, by the way.
So yeah,
The vibes
Madame
are immaculate.
Sultaywan is a stage name that she made up to invoke that mystique.
Okay.
She lived a character to get these roles. She went out in fabulous clothes.
It's like a way
She
to elevate
was,
yourself in a way.
yes, she was born to former slaves in Louisville, Kentucky. Her mother did laundry for a play circuit, and so when she was like 4 years old, she was inspired that she wanted to be an actress.
Mm,
So she had started touring the country. She'd made her own acting troupes and toured through the South and the North.
oh, that's cool.
Um, yeah, let me see.
That took some
I don't.
balls to fucking take your troop through the South. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think they were primarily working in black cinemas, but still, yeah,
Still,
going through the
yeah.
South is insane. Um, I couldn't find the name of her stage company, but she did join a stage company called Three Black Cloaks,
Hmm.
which I am kind of hoping is three black artists. That's fucking slaps.
Right.
Um, and so she moved to California, and she met D.W. Griffith, who is producer of Birth of a Nation. This super self-proclaimed hates this interracial marriage. So he would meet Madame Sultaywan, and he would give her the first contract signed by an African American woman in Hollywood.
Man, that's crazy. I wonder
And
how that would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. See how that went.
so apparently her style is what caught his eye.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, she was hired at $3 a day and $25 a week. Um, she would go on. Most of her roles will be uncredited throughout her entire career.
Mm,
But she would go on to perform with some amazing names like Dorothy Dandridge, Harry Belafonte. Um, she played a fairly major role opposite Charleston Heston in the movie in the 50s. Um, but I do want to point out too. So when she came to sign the contract for Birth of a Nation, the original script that she was going to perform was going to have one of the main actors spitting in her face.
yeah.
And so it's this weird mix of it's still completely dehumanizing, um, but it also, I guess, it says something that he did give her a role.
Yeah.
Does it mean something if it's like he's a racist piece of shit, but literally nobody else would give an African American person a contract?
Yeah.
So it's this
It's like a
weird,
catch-22.
yeah, yeah. But it just goes to drive home the point of like, I don't think D.W. Griffith was that much of a racist any more than a regular guy in 1915. I
Right.
think a lot of this was done intentionally and dramatically.
Right.
So, Birth of a Nation's a very popular film, but there's one thing that really set it apart that made it famous. And that was about a month or less than a month after he started showing this film, he brought it to the White House.
Hmm.
And this was the very first film that was ever shown in the White House.
Right.
And you may be thinking of like, huh, that's weird. Why was this shown in the White House? And the technical answer is different from the real answer. The real answer is the president at the time, whose name I'm forgetting. Woodrow Wilson was a racist piece of shit. And I think we could even go as far to say like a Klansman. He was
Yeah.
into this shit.
Yeah.
Um, so Wilson famously resegregated the White House and the federal government. Thomas Dixon, the author, in his autobiography, quote Wilson saying, um, when they were talking about should we show it at the White House, Wilson said, "I'm pleased to be able to do this little thing for you because a long time ago you took a day out of your busy life to do something for me."
Right.
What Dixon had done was suggest him for honorary degree from one of his colleges, one of the colleges that he attended.
Hmm.
They had been college roommates. When Dixon wrote one of his first books about Lincoln, he dedicated it to Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So wait,
and
so
so,
you'd say that they like exchanged Christmas letters that maybe one drew like pictures and wrote on it and sent them back and forth and stuff. But
oh
then,
yeah,
but then when they came out and they're like, "Oh wait, I don't know that guy at all. What? We weren't best
don't
friends at
know him
all."
at all. Um, hold on, I've got a great quote about
Interesting.
Wilson. So here's something that you don't get the tone of in presidents. So he did a tour before this, and this is a quote about the tour. One problem that would affect the tour was the difference between the impression that Johnson made on his hearers and the impression that his speeches made on those who merely read them afterwards. Mr. Johnson's manner in delivering public speeches was one which could not be translated into newspaper language. I have been startled myself to read the same speech in the paper that I had heard the day before. One would think from what was written that a violent demagogue was brandishing his arms and shrieking at the top of his lungs. Semi-literate Johnson never prepared much for speeches. He was a freewheeling stump speaker who would put on a show for the audience, using a chain of grievances as the framework for his performances.
Huh.
However, the rapport that he often found with audiences in Tennessee and DC failed him on the tour. The repetitions became grotesque, the variations hollow and mechanical.
That's
So yeah,
hilarious.
isn't that could you imagine a president that if you read the words that he said, you would think he was a violent demagogue brandishing his arms and shrieking at the top of his lungs?
Yeah. Sounds oddly
And he's
familiar.
semi-literate? He doesn't I don't know if Johnson can read, but that motherfucker can stir up trouble. When we take him to Tennessee and the rednecks, they love him.
Right.
I just thought that was so interesting. Go ahead and pull up Wilson. This is the one picture of Wilson we have smiling, and this is him about to throw a rock at an Italian child.
He looks so gleeful.
So, Wilson, after this movie came out, he had to come out with a saying that a PR statement saying that he was entirely unaware of the character of the movie before it was presented, and has at no time expressed his approval of it. Its exhibition at the White House was a courtesy extended to an old acquaintance. So Wilson showed this movie with his old college buddy
That he used to be
who
roommates
wrote a
with.
that he used to be roommates with, who wrote a book about Lincoln that was full of these Reconstruction bullshit myths. And then he showed up in person to play it, and Wilson was like, did I like it? Can't say. Can't
Right.
say.
Well,
It's like
didn't he
you
say something
lying
though
little
about
Weasley motherfucker.
he did say something about it being like a lightning rod.
I don't know if that was
What is
Wilson
that?
calling it a lightning rod. I do remember there's a lot of these like lightning in a bottle quotes. So you go ahead and look if you can find it.
Yeah, he said President Woodrow Wilson's supposed quote about D.W. Griffith's racist film, The Birth of an It is like writing history with lightning, and my only regret is that it is all so terribly true, was a shocking endorsement of the film distorted portrayal of Reconstruction.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
And it's like,
so,
I didn't know about it. I don't know. Maybe it's true. Could be. People are saying.
right.
So,
So
funnily
yeah,
enough,
so in modern times he'd say, it's like writing history with lightning.
yeah, I think that's exactly how it sounded. So, funny timing because the day after he showed it at the White House, he had to go take it to the National Censor Board,
hmm
who was going to review of like, is this just garbage? And so the censor board back then was very much like a rubber stamp thing of like, as long as you're not showing titties or murder, you can get it through.
And they still censored
Uh,
stuff.
they didn't. It passed 15-8.
Well, I thought they did censor out the scene of the lady getting spit in the face.
That was a rewrite. So because the original movie had
Oh,
36 hours of footage
yeah, okay.
that they condensed down to 3
But so
hours.
the movie
There
that
was
they
a
showed
lot
at
of
the White House was
rewrites.
36 hours?
No, no. Like while they were filming it, they had like 36 hours of scenes,
Oh,
and
I
they were like, "All right,
see.
cut this scene, cut this scene."
So it
There's the
wasn't the
movie.
censor people that cut it. They cut it on their end. I
Yeah,
got
they
it.
were doing.
Okay.
They were self.
That was a misunderstanding on my part. I see. I thought that was like they were like, this is the only thing you have to cut out. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't see anything wrong with it. That's crazy.
No. 8 out of 15 said no, but it still passed. But usually it's a
Hmm.
unanimous thing. They're like, I don't care. It's just a movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And even they're like,
It.
whoa.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Isn't this just? You guys like this? Wow. Um. At one point, one of the showings, judge had issued a warrant to stop the film because there were protests around it, and the general consensus from educated people was that it was a trash movie.
Yeah.
They're like, "There's nothing of value here. It's just going to have a bunch of racist yokels keyed up in our town."
And that was mainly in
Um,
northern states too, where a lot of the plays were met with protests where they were throwing rotten eggs at the actors and stuff.
yeah, in the South, they fucking loved it. Surprise.
Yeah, in the South they
So
loved
this
it.
this judge put out a warrant. He's like, I
Mm.
don't want this movie in my town. And the people playing it were like, call the White House. And he's like, call the for your shitty little racist movie? Yeah, I'll call the White House. Hello, Mr. President. Oh, you love the movie? Okay, this
Uh,
fucking country.
yeah.
Uh, a few months later, um,
And again, I just want to reinforce the fact that we watched it and it really is a fucking boring, hard to follow, convoluted movie where
yeah.
there was so many constant times where it's like, so wait, why did that, wait, where are we? Wait, did I just miss something? Why are we here now? Like in modern
Also,
times, really hard to pay attention and follow what they're trying to portray in the movie. It's really poorly written and done.
and there were a couple times I know for a fact that we had a time jump. Like we moved forward in time, we jump back in time, we move forward, and then we jump back to before that. It's
Yes,
it's poorly done.
it was confusing. Yeah, very terrible movie. And the
So
writing was
Dixon,
horrible, the acting horrible.
it's
The
all
amount
bad.
of black people that were white people in blackface was crazy. Even for like secondary roles that weren't prominent at all. It's like, no, we still can't give that role to a black person.
Yeah, so and that's something that he made a weird brag about like I didn't cast any black actors in main roles or like the only black actors were slaves in attendance. But then you actually watch the film and it's like there's a couple black guys in suits in the back cuz he can't fucking keep his story straight cuz he's lying.
Yeah.
The author Dixon wrote a letter to Wilson that said, "This play is transforming the entire population of the North and the West into sympathetic Southern voters. There will never be an issue of your segregation policy."
Because I do want to point out now too that the part of the idea behind this movie was to convince Southern black voters to vote for Republicans, which is another crazy take. It's like, you thought this was going to convince them against their own, like, what's it called?
Interest.
Yeah, interest. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't
And I
think you
mean,
did a very good job. If that was your main mission, I feel like they completely failed. Like, what?
yeah, it is one of those things that, like, outside of politics, like conservatism as a political or as an ideology tends to not make interesting creative stuff.
Right.
When you venerate and honor the past, you don't innovate.
Yes.
Um, so right, like a week after the showing at the White House, um, they were in South Carolina, and the venue canceled on them.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Shit, I need somewhere where I can show my movie. Let me just call my old friend." And I put a picture up. Did I? Nah, fuck him. We don't need a picture. He brought up his friend Josephus Daniels, who was
Wait,
secretary
what's
of
his name?
Josephus. Josephus
Josephus.
Daniels.
That's a terrible name. I'm sorry.
And just a little schmo of a man. Just a no chin little bastard. And he was secretary of the Navy.
Okay.
And so Griffith and Dixon called up the Secretary of the Navy, who called up the Chief Justice of the South Carolina Supreme Court,
Hmm.
and got them a ballroom in the Raleigh Hotel.
Oh, geez.
And so when they were doing all this, trying to pull these strings with all their rich, connected friends, here's the quote. Initially, Justice White, that's Edward Douglas White, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was not interested in seeing the film. But when Dixon told him it was the true story of Reconstruction and the Klan's role in, quote, saving the South, White, recalling his youth in Louisiana, jumped to attention and said, "I was a member of the Klan, sir." With White agreeing to see the film, the rest of the Supreme Court followed. In addition to the entire Supreme Court, the audience had many members of Congress and the Diplomatic Corps, the Secretary of the Navy, and 50 members of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
After this came out, uh, D.W. Griffith slapped a big quote from Justice White on there, saying that it was such a great film. And Justice White went ballistic. He was sending him threats. He threatened to sue him. He publicly denounced the movie.
Oh, hell yeah. That's hilarious.
So he's like, "Yeah, I'll organize a showing so we can watch a super racist movie. I was a member of the Klan."
Hmm.
Good call, bud. And then when that knowledge gets public, he has to go in full defense when it's like, "Nope, not me. Uh-uh."
Right.
Because even then, even at the time when they're trying to push this racist ideology, they know that it's shameful.
Right.
Uh, and I
And
will
again, and
say,
that's why they're
well,
all adopting the hoods and all that shit to when the
yeah.
secrecy.
And the one good thing that came out of Birth of a Nation is the NAACP had a huge surge in membership from white and black people going, "What the fuck is this racist film? Why are these racists coming to town with their racist show? What can I do against this?" And they found the NAACP.
Hmm.
And the ideas and the systems that they set up to boycott that film set the basis for how they still do some processes today.
Interesting.
So there was a little outgrowth of good in there out of so fucking much bad.
Yeah. Because that was one thing I wanted to point out too when I was doing some of my own research, that it did spark a lot. There was like at least two reported incidents that like immediately after watching the movie, like crowds formed mobs and went, like there was one instance of a black man that asked a white woman for a kiss. So after viewing the movie, they all went out and lynched the guy and like, or no. I think that might have been a thing, but part of that was
That's
the guy that wrote the
specifically.
Klansmen said that he didn't believe in violence against blacks, but that was part of the a thing that he wrote about in his book. And part of the play too is after that, then they were doing some lynchings and things as well. But yeah, I think that one thing was romanticized by the guy who would later go on and be like, "Well, no, I don't romanticize violence." It's like, well, you did it in your book on page 62,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, and I I think that this could be brought through to the current day of like when these guys are producing hateful shit, we don't need to give them the benefit of the doubt. All this does is reinforce their belief that this is okay.
Yeah, and it
And
emboldens racists.
after this movie came out, there was again they were selling Ku Klux Klan movie merchandise,
Right.
right? Months later, people would take that merchandise and make their own copies of it to dress up and commit domestic terrorism.
Right.
Like it is just so insane that this was a costume. Like this was made for you to watch the movie and wear a funny hat and throw it away after.
Hmm.
Um, but we are going to talk on our next episode about how one little loser named William Joseph Simmons saw this movie and after being kicked out of over 13 different clubs, decided to start the Klan.
Yeah.
All right,
After he
Brian.
couldn't
Any final?
after he couldn't get into any of the clubs he wanted, he's like, I'm gonna start my own clan and I'm gonna learn to sew and I'm gonna make costumes for me and my horse and we're gonna be the cool guys.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, Brian. Any final thoughts on that?
No, the only other thing I think we pretty much covered everything that we wanted to. Let me look at my notes real quick. Most of the things I wanted to bring up, I think we got to. I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we've laid the groundwork now. And next episode we'll be talking about the actual founding of the second Klan. And we'll be talking more about how it was a scam.
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this next episode. Like this was fun and everything, but the next one I'm really excited for just because this is some things that I really feel like should be common knowledge that like when I talk to a bunch of people, it's like, "Hey, did you know this? This is like one of the very first fundamental facts that you should know about this group of people. Did you know that? Oh, no,
Right.
you didn't. Yeah,
No.
interesting, right? We should talk about
Yeah.
this." So, yeah, I'm
It
really
it
interested.
yeah. Well, all right, Brian. I will see you next time. And for the Brian and
Mason podcast.
podcast. Nailed it. We did it. Woo. Cut.